headline with their picture at the bottom was controversial enough to outrage people all over the country, without considering people's tolerance and seeing if they would even read the whole article. People with totally different values and thoughts could not tolerate their relationship. There is no need to say that some people still cannot tolerate so many other ideas today. But Nancy and Henry were in love. The couple, who met through friends and gatherings, came from very different backgrounds. Nancy came from money, a fashionista who was the only child of an upper-class English family, an heiress to the Cunard steamship company. Young Nancy used to be a sweet girl with soft hair and a round face, wearing ankle-length dresses like many young girls at her age. After divorcing Sidney Fairbairn, an army officer who was in war battles, she left London. Basically, she left them all in the past. She cut her hair into a chic bob. The Langston style of the Jazz Age dramatized her blue-green eyes with black kohl, wore dark red lipstick, and had no hesitation to try short dresses. Paris was alluring to her because of the liberty she could have as a woman, where she could freely work and follow her passion and intentions. Paris was the best place to flourish her talent, her interest in writing that came from the novelist George Moore, who was her mother's lover. She published her first poetry, Outlaws, and later started a business called Heiress Press Publishing and became an avant-garde publisher, most famously known for Samuel Beckett's poem Horoscope. It was not only because of how daring or unusual the name of this 98-line poet was, but mainly because it was his last-minute submission to her publication competition for the best poem. Even though she received critical acclaim for her free verse poem Parallax, poetry was not the only door of art open to her. The woman was pure beauty, with amazing taste in fashion, following the trends of the flapper religiously, and a massive fond for art and various cultures such as Dadaism and Surrealism. Soon she found her status in social circles of Paris and London, an avant-garde publisher, an art collector who borrowed her signature accessories such as African turbans, bangles, earrings, and most importantly, kohl-lined eyes from African culture, and smartly added them to her trendy flapper look with her shingle bob and crimson lips. And wow, that was too much and almost impossible for anyone to neglect her easily. Her relationship with Henry accentuated these desires and significantly impacted her future life. She became more informed and bolder. You could barely find her in a Parisian cafe or at a friend's ball as a dull figure without her striking looks and radiant and unique style. She always had large wooden African-inspired jewelry and giant bangles made of bones and ivory, covering her wrist up to the arms. They're very unusual items for many people, yet inspiring and interesting for reporters and magazines. We can think of it like this. Her distinctive personality was perfectly evolved by her experiences to the point where it was constantly absorbing what served her the best. I mean, isn't it what self-awareness does to you? But who imagined that she could go this far? On a very regular day in 1931, Nancy published a pamphlet, Black Men and White Ladyship, and her purpose was to address racism. So, what was at first a romantic affair developed into a new situation, and soon she initiated civil rights activities, and then she studied racial inequality in the Caribbean, Europe, and the United States. Only 3 years later, Negro was published, and you're right, it was neglected back then, because it seemed like people had no interest in reading poems and writings of Zora Neale Hurston and Langston Hughes, but it later became a useful source during the golden African-American period of the Harlem Renaissance. Being famous both as as an activist and avant-garde chic helped her break many social taboos and shocked many people from London to Paris. Historians believe that she possibly obliterated social classes and purposely refuted her family background and values. She embraced bohemian affection in every aspect of her life. As a fashion icon, she was a pioneer in bohemian style, before the ethnic look ever existed as a sort of a style in fashion. So fashion magazines had no choice other than legitimizing this new style as somehow avant-garde, and yes, they call it the barbaric chic, and another social disappointment. She smoked and drank at the corner of the salons with a long cigarette holder in hand while wearing her unusual bracelet. However, it became her trademark and inspired many big names in fashion. Boucheron started designing African-inspired prestigious jewelry with high-end and pricey gemstones and proudly exhibited them at the Exposition Coloniale in 1931. The fact is, she was too real to be easily copied or underestimated. Her looks were naturally striking. She was tall and slim with long legs, white skin, and large, translucent, blue-green eyes. I mean, she was never exactly that popular kind of pretty or classically beautiful, but she was for sure captivating, dramatizing her appearance and creating her bohemian style. Many of her friends mentioned her gestures and the way she moved in the several situations. The head held high and she placed one foot exactly in front of the other, not like the fashion models, but spontaneously and boldly. Her attitude and physical appearance inspired Aldous Huxley to give a Cunard's walk to the heroine of his novel Antique Hay. So no one can deny that she was not only the it girl of the 20s, but she was also ahead of her time. She spent her family business income collecting African sculpture and Dada and Surrealist art. Cubism was a major factor affecting her style. She courageously borrowed the look with beautiful, detailed African neckpieces made of wooden cubes, and apparently her edge took over all aspects of her life. She grew up as a detached child who was always surrounded by famous friends and family members, but she soon left the convenience of a social life. During the Spanish Civil War, she went to Barcelona as an Associated Negro Press correspondent. Even after Franco won an unconditional victory and she returned to London to translate for the Free French Forces, she continued working for the press for 2 decades. Nancy came back to Paris and joined the avant-garde community through her relationship with the author Robert McCalman. During this period, she was very active, insanely active. Just before the beginning of the Second World War, she made a questionnaire and sent it to 200 writers, asking them serious questions like, are you for or against the legal governments and people of Republican Spain? And are you for or against Franco and fascism? And she got some answers. She got George Orwell's answer that began with, will you please stop sending me this bloody rubbish? I mean, with other 146 answers, of which 126 supported the Republic. And yes, this is what you are paid with for your stubbornness, or better call it your discipline. I mean, even nowadays, a fearless, original, and seductive woman is too much for so many people. So there is no surprise that her striking elegance and character became the source of inspiration and made her become a muse to so many of the writers and so many of the artists of that period. She was the star of social circles and famous events like Natalie Clifford Barney's salons in Paris, a Friday gathering at which people discussed literature, art, music, and any other topic of interest, where she became friends with a lot of other avant-garde figures like T.S. Eliot, Wyndham Lewis, and Ezra Pound, the eminent poets such as Louis Aragon. She inspired the title character of Tristan Tzara tragedy, Handkerchief of Clouds, and Louise Areng's Blanche Loubli, one of the leading voices of the Surrealist movement in France. Even though she never actually posed for Brancusi, he described her behavior as the true meaning of sophistication and made his polished bronze sculpture La Jeune Fille Sophistiquée under this influence. A small bronze sculpture set on a marble base worth $17 million now. Man Ray photographed her with her bohemian accessorized arms around Crowder's neck. She was also photographed by Cecil Beaton and Barbara Kersheimer, who posed her with fur in front of a tiger skin. She was the inspiration behind Ernest Hemingway and Evelyn Waugh's fictional characters. And even a researcher once declared that spotted her in a draft section of T.S. Eliot's The Waste Land as an immoral siren. Then Ezra Pound and others, God knows for what reasons, made him drop it. Nancy was the subject of numerous paintings, artworks by Oskar Kokoschka and Wyndham Lewis. Alvaro Guevara painted a large full-length portrait of her, and there are 2 lovely drawings by John Banting too. The inspiration even continues today. Lanvin designed a collection influenced by her, mixing masculine tailoring and bohemian style. Saint Laurent Autumn-Winter 2022 depicted elegance with an avant-garde twist inspired by her bold dresses as what was called wild elegance, as well as Gucci's Art Deco collection. As a pioneer advocate for racial equality, she never stopped writing and campaigning for the causes she believed in. But unlike her glamorous life, I don't know why, she had this bitter ending. Alcohol and depression got her into paranoia and mental illness, where she showed self-destructive behaviors. She was arrested in Spain, and even in an incident, she fought with London police, so she was committed to a mental hospital, and her overall physical and mental health declined. And finally, she died in Paris. And what remained of her ivory bangles, along with several first edition books and letters, were sold in series of sale from 60s to 70s. This is the end. And I bet you are thinking of the same thing as me, how a glamorous full life can be ended up like. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please do not forget to share your thoughts.